let's transition to Major League Baseball because obviously you're a big Pittsburgh Pirates fan. Um, Now I'm going to ask you a more general baseball question because I did not really get a chance to ask you this last year. I'm a traditionalist when it comes to the sport. So around this time last year, I was asking all my guests about, whether or not they felt these rule changes were going to, be positive, beneficial to the sport. And I was very hesitant on what it was going to actually do. And about the third inning of the opening day, when I saw the pitch clock, I was like, okay, I was wrong. Like it's gonna work. It's gonna cut down on game time. I think it's made baseball more watchable. I do think some of that, when it's the ninth inning and there's two outs, there's two runners on base, 3-2 count, the stare down between the pitcher and the hitter is a part of the game. But what are your thoughts on, not only that, but the bigger bases, which somehow did lead to more stolen bases? I really didn't get out, but it did. Um, and the pickoff rule where you only have two throws over. Do you like all these enhancements to the game, Gabe?
Yeah. Overall, I think the rule changes in Major League Baseball last year were a really good thing for the game. Um, the uptick in stolen bases, I think, made the game a lot more exciting. And I will say I'm not surprised that it led to an uptick in stolen bases because a lot of the time you see those bang bang plays at second on the pop throw from the catcher, it's like millimeters. They've got
Yes.
they've got to go back in the video review and they've got to try and pick out like, oh, did he come off the base?
Yeah, I always, by the way, for the record, I always thought that was the wrong use of replay.
I
Like,
agree. I
like
totally agree. Yeah.
in replay, you're supposed to view it in real time, maybe with a little slowdown, and just see, like, okay, did he get him here? But I always thought replay takes way too long. If in 20, 30 seconds, you cannot definitively say he's out or safe, the call has to stand. Why are we looking at four different views from four different angles going, well, I think if you slow it down right here, there might be a little dust that comes up. Oh, and that is not the point of replay.
Yeah, I agree with you. And the pitch clock, I think while it took some strategy out of the game, it put more strategy into the game. You mentioned the stare down between the batters in the ninth inning. I mean, there adds a little bit of a sense of urgency there, which I think is a little bit better for the game. You're probably gonna get more offense, because the pitcher and the catcher, they're trying to communicate. There may be a little bit of panic in there. Batter can catch him off guard. But overall, I think the rule changes were really good for the sport. Um, Getting those game times down, I think was huge
Oh,
because
yeah, absolutely. I was saying this earlier this week. If a game starts, let's say it's 7 o'clock, whatever time zone you're in, obviously, if the game ends at 10, that's okay. If the game ends at 11:15, like it was doing back before the rule change, because it would take so freaking long to get through the later innings,
yep.
that's not okay. I mean, I said I went to one Guardians game this year, and it was in late September. It was a night where it started off warm and I didn't know if I was going to need a jacket, so I didn't bring one. I got cold late in the game. So I went down to the team shop. And previously, if you go down to the team shop, you may miss an inning, an inning and a half. I missed almost the middle part of the game, you know.
Yep.
So I mean, it really did show. It's easier as well on weeknights. I think it will help weeknight attendance. Obviously, games start earlier and end earlier. You're not up all night. You're not tired at work the next morning. Um, what are your thoughts on the ghost runner though at second base? I think that is the one rule that I don't like. I think it's easier to score from second. I understand if you put him on first, but I think putting a runner that didn't necessarily earn it in scoring position to start extra innings, I don't like it. I don't understand why more teams don't bunt and get the runner over and give yourselves two chances to get him in from third base, but that's just me.
Yeah, I don't love that rule either. I know that's another one that was designed to kind of speed up the game, but like you said, I mean, you're at a point where you get a single, the game's over. Like it, it and if you get a single in the top half of the 10th inning, um, and the home team gets shut down in the bottom of the inning, you're getting rewarded for one base hit I don't love it. Um, I think first base, like you said, it might be a little bit acceptable, but I just don't know about it at all, really.
I think what still hurts baseball, and your Pittsburgh Pirates are sort of going through this, is the marketing is still bad. And, I said, if there was one professional sport that's going to quote unquote phase out or die, I still think it's going to be baseball. Um, I don't think that while there may have been some casual viewers coming back to the sport a little bit, I still don't think they do a good job at marketing their stars. I mean, the All-Star game now, you watch them and you don't even know at the stars unless you pay attention to the sport so closely. And I think it does hurt that while they are doing more, interleague play, there's 162 games, and you may, Guardians, I think, only see Pittsburgh like once a year or something like that. So it's
Yeah.
still really hard to know who's on each team.
Yeah, I think if you showed a picture of Mike Trout to 10 strangers, maybe one, maybe two of them would know who he was.
Yeah, if you walk down wherever you live down the street and ask them who Mike Trout was, they probably didn't even know. And part of that's on the Angels because the best player in baseball has never played one playoff game.
Mhm. Yeah, it's crazy. And and I think another pretty deep-rooted issue is the salary cap or lack of a salary floor. Because you've got the Dodgers who just went out and spent $1 billion with a B on two players, and you got the Pirates who they signed Aroldis Chapman, they signed Yasmani Grandal. Like those are the two biggest signings. Nowhere near. I mean, these the one contract, even for Yamamoto that the Dodgers signed, I mean, that's higher than the payroll of a lot of teams.
I mean, it's ridiculous. And our two teams are sort of in the similar situation. Obviously, Guardians and Pirates. We're both in the Central Divisions, yes, but both those divisions are the two weakest divisions in baseball.
Yes, they
And
are.
so, for the Guardians, I think their division's a little weaker, which is why I could see them potentially winning the division this year if things sort of bounce their way, if you will. Minnesota, don't trust them. They had a good year last year. Teams are probably having a downhill year this year, more than likely. Chicago is bad. Kansas City is still rebuilding. I think Detroit is good. I don't know if they have the talent to take away the division from the Guards yet. I think the Guards may win the division at 84 games by default. Um,
Yeah, the writing's on the wall for the Guardians. It's gotta be this year.
yeah, I mean, don't you feel like the team's not great, but I do feel like they could win the division.
I think they should win the division. Yeah, you're gonna get Tristan McKenzie back. You're gonna get Bieber back. So that's two. I think they have one of the best starting rotations in baseball. Let's
You
start
can
there
make an argument it's
with,
the best. If those young kids, if Williams
with
hits,
Bibee and Gavin
Allen,
Williams. Yep.
Spivey, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's one of the best rotations in baseball. So they need help offensively, and they probably need a better year than they got last year out of Class A. I think not to say that Class A was bad last
You
year,
know
but
what was
he wasn't as
insane?
good as he was the year before.
He led the MLB in saves and in blown saves. I think he was just overused.
Yes.
Um,
Yep.
I think that when they had Karen Check, who obviously got caught with that sticky stuff, which I'm sorry, I don't care. They've been using in baseball forever. I think baseball was more fun. I said it when they used steroids and sticky stuff. Um,
It was.
you
It
know,
definitely was.
Baseball is the sport of cheating. You can't go to the extent of the Houston Astros, but nobody cared about the sticky stuff until the White Sox got pissed off about it and it became a big thing, you know?
Yep.
So, I mean, I agree with you there. How about on the Pirate side of things? The division seems a little bit down. St. Louis, I don't know where they're sort of at. Chicago had an okay year last year. I mean, what's the state of the NL Central? Milwaukee obviously is still pretty good.
State of the NL Central, I think you could genuinely see the Cardinals going from worst to first.
Okay.
Um, and as far as things go in Pittsburgh, I mean, you're at a point where you need the young guys to start performing. You need O'Neal Cruz to be the guy that he's, touted to be. You need Jack Sawinski to perform. Um, Tucapito Marcano. You got Termar Johnson coming up through the ranks now. Henry Davis, Andy Rodriguez, all these guys, they need to start playing. I think is one of the main issues. And whatever they're doing at catcher this year, signing Yasmani Grandal was really confusing because you think Charrington brings him in to be a DH, and then you learn that the plan is to not start Henry Davis at catcher this year. Even though he's been good defensively in spring training and he's been hitting the cover off the ball so far. The catcher position, I think, is the most frustrating one for Pirates fans for sure. And then there's question marks in the rotation outside of Roansy Contreras. You watch Paul Skeens in spring training, you're like, I think this guy could probably start now, but you're not going to do that. You don't want to screw his service time, obviously. So a lot of question marks in Pittsburgh still, I think.
With the Pirates, in my lifetime, I remember them making the initial, wild card game when they went to that one game wild card. That's about as close as they've been to being relevant in my lifetime. What is this sentiment in Pittsburgh about how obviously, we all know the ownership situation and things like that, but just excitement around the team, or is it just, oh God, baseball season's coming again? We got to go through this again.
It's a little bit of both now, I think, because you have these really exciting young players like Cruz, like Hayes, like Sawinski. Um, it's exciting to watch those guys play, and I definitely think it's going to be sold out on opening day, and maybe not again for the rest of the season. So it's a little bit of both, I think.
Like that clip from the Brands World podcast? If so, make sure you go down there and hit that subscribe button. While you're down there hitting the subscribe button, make sure to also hit the notification bell so you never miss another upload. And make sure you check out all the other clips from the Brands World podcast right here on YouTube.